Well, hello everybody, Mike with Spray Jones coming to you with the fifth and final video in the rigged code series, why the codes are rigged against spray foam. If you're new to this channel or just tuning in now, my name is Mike. I'm the owner of Spray Jones and I produce the content on spray foam insulation. It's my guys spraying that you're watching, and we're producing this to better educate and edify the industry on spray foam insulation, closed cell, open cell, that's 2 pound and half pound foam, for the end user, the recipients, the installers, and the overall industry to shed light on half truths and whole lies and get people up to speed. Today we're going to close out the video series and we're going to talk about sort of the honorable mentions or the areas that spray foam doesn't really get used or thought of as much as it should. And I think probably the number one area to start is in the ground, both external foundation and under slab. If I was building a house today or a structure today that had a poured concrete or even a wood foundation in the ground, I would be making sure to get closed cell spray foam to the outside, which means timing the project for weather conditions in North America that would allow the spray foam, so not excessively rainy and excessively cold. I would need something that's going to be fairly temperate, moderate, and dry, so that I can get in and get from the footings all the way up the foundation that would be going down inside the ground. I want at least an inch, if not 2 inches of closed cell foam from grade level down into the earth. And the reason being is I want to stabilize the structure thermally, I want to provide additional water seal, and I want to get things warm so that the structure on the inside doesn't need, well, the external mass of the structure, let's say, is stabilized and isn't going to get as cold or as hot, isn't going to be susceptible to moisture movement as easily. And even if I was doing insulated concrete form block for a client, I would suggest, instead of putting the peel and stick membrane, to be putting 1 inch of closed cell foam. And we have the foam approved. We have the foam approved at 1 inch, 25 millimeters as exterior damp proofing, so it can handle the moisture movement. Obviously, there's some conditions that have to be met, and you need somewhere to give the water to flow to, but it is approved that you don't need additional membrane or tar. So that's the number one spot that I'd start with. The second area is closely related, under slab. If I'm doing an in-floor or even a non-in-floor, no matter what, if I was just pouring concrete in a basement, in ground, slab on grade, I definitely would be putting closed cell foam, 2 to 3 inches thick. You know, if it's in-floor, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be insulated. But even if it's not, I've been in basements that don't have in-floor heat but yet have insulation underneath the slab, and it's amazing how warm they get, because you've put insulation under the floor mass, and as a result, the floor can get warm. Once it equalizes and charges that thermal mass, it stays warm, stabilizes the temperature interior-wise, and it feels like a constant in-floor heat system, even though it's not. But with piping, I think the closed cell foam is a far superior system for in-floor heat systems than doing a standard sheet goods, with the exception of seasonal issues. If you're running into late season where it's going to be cold, snowy, and wet, constantly wet, then the spray foam is not your first choice, just because you're going to be fighting moisture and installation issues. But if you have a controlled environment where you can put down rock, I really believe that you need to be putting down crushed rock and then put the spray foam on it. It gives you a really good fighting chance at having a dry substrate. You can skim coat and then build your thicknesses up. The spray foam is going to lay down fairly flat and level depending on the skill of your installer. And then you've got a really good unified, watertight, gas-tight system around 100%, from corner to corner, footing to footing, edge to edge, and then penetration piping, what have you, through the middle. And then you're not dealing with 10,000s of seams that have to be taped. You're not dealing with board that sits on top of the rock with high compression points of contact that wants to twist and snap. The spray foam is taking the contour of the rock and giving you a stable floor system that you can walk on to put rebar and the in-floor piping on. Gas control is important. It's part of our building code. More and more people are aware of it. Closed cell spray foam answers that once and for all. So in-floor, under slab and gas control. Gas control doesn't necessarily have to be under slab. It can just be inside of a crawl space. It can be inside of an area where you're going to have open earth. A lot of people are switching from using Permalon liner membrane systems to using spray foam insulation. Again, depends on a little bit on the application, timing of the year, but I mean, membrane systems, you're forced to get a lot of that down and into the crawl space early. The rolls are large, they're cumbersome. Whereas with the spray foam, you can put the floor on if you've got a 4 or 5 foot crawl space. As long as it's dried out in there and you've got good drainage, then you can be applying the spray foam down and onto the crawl space floor, even wrapping up in the footings and getting things sealed. I've got a project coming up here this summer. We'll be showcasing just exactly that retrofit. There's no way to get rolls down into the crawl space easily and lay things out. Instead, we go with a seamless system of closed cell spray foam and get that all sealed from corner to corner, edge to edge. Also, the final verdict for me is non-vented conditioned attics. Walls and basements are a no-brainer. They're easy to discuss, but I still really feel that there needs to be a mental pressure put on people to see the value in putting the foam to the underside of the deck. It strengthens the deck, it seals everything off, water penetration isn't the same problem. And where and when do you want to stop water? People keep saying to me, well, what if I have a leak and I don't know I've got a leak? To which I say, when exactly do you want the leak to ever stop? You want the leak to come into the house? What do you want it to wreck? Where do you expect water to stop? I want water to stop at the exterior of the envelope. I want it at the roof level. And I'm prepared to put products on my roof, both externally and internally, that make it very hard for water to get through. Because I don't want water getting through. Isn't that simple logic? I don't want the water coming through. So I'm going to put a product both on the outside of the roof and inside that makes it very difficult for water to make it through. Subsequently, if the water somehow does have a breach and gets behind my primary and secondary containments, protections, that yes, it would be trapped, and yes, we wouldn't really know about it very easily. But that's the break. The break is I'm trying to stop the water. I'm trying to keep it external where I don't want it. And if you don't like it, then change the type of building materials that you're using. Like, nobody's going to put an eaves trough system in their attic to catch drips and then put the drips down to a measured collection device like a rain gauge and say, oh, look at this. We've got 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters of water. There must be a roof leak somewhere. Where's the roof leak? Nobody does that. That's stupid. You are doing a primary protection system to the exterior. You can do a secondary backup to the interior side to back up your first and second lines of defense externally. But I want waterproof roofing, and I want high-grade interior envelopes. I need to stop the air. I need to stop the water. I need to stop the moisture transfer and heat transfer. So spray foam to the underside of the roof deck, both for a cathedralized attic where the attic space, there's a large amount of open space between the spray foam and where the drywall will be, or a vaulted ceiling system where it's not. Those are exactly what I want. I want closed cell spray foam in those situations. I don't really like open cell because it can contain the water inside the attic and hold it for a very long time until it starts to let it go, whereas closed cell, it doesn't absorb water. So if there's damage to the roof deck, it's isolated to the most exterior portions. So that's my plug for now. Tell me what you think. These are the areas I think that are overlooked, but they make huge differences in the building envelope, and it's a proper use of closed cell spray foam for modern as tomorrow building techniques. So lay out a comment, like and subscribe, share this with somebody. We're going to have great new content coming here. Stay tuned. You're going to see some really, really, really neat things coming out here soon as we elevate our game on phase 2 with what Spray Jones is doing. So talk to you soon. Bye.